Hey guys, welcome back for another month. It is the month of May and it has been a cracking month. Honestly, a cracking month. A lot of cool stuff has happened, but right off the bat, you're probably wondering, what am I doing wearing this scarf? And the reason I'm wearing this is today, May 30th, my team, the mighty Chelsea, have won the Champions League final in Europe, which is the biggest club football game in the entire world. It's the first time we've even been in that game in 9 years, and so I'm super hyped about it. I'm going to be wearing this all of today. I might go to sleep in it, who knows? I'm pretty psyched, honestly. It's been fantastic. The one tiny drawback of that game, I wasn't actually super expecting to qualify for Chelsea, and it actually clashed with my Gladiator run, the 21K that I was meant to be doing. I was really hoping to get some cool footage for you guys this month out there, but the game clashed with it. It was the first time we'd been in that game for 9 years. There was no way in the world I was missing it. And so it's probably a great thing that we won. Otherwise, that would have felt like a little bit of a two-edged sword. But it didn't. We won. So let's get on with May, because like I said, it's been super cool. Wins across the board. So let's get into it. First of all, I told you guys I'd be getting together with a coach this month, and I have. It has been honestly fantastic, guys. The coach's name's Shona Stevenson, and she is a honestly world-class ultramarathon runner and coach. You can look her up. She has been on podiums worldwide, and she really knows what she's talking about. So I can't even describe how much of an impact she has made to my running. It's been incredible, guys. And secondly, that sort of feeds off that I have had an injury-free month, and you guys must know how stoked I am about that. And you can see, I said in the last vlog, there's going to be a lot more smiling in this one, and there is. It's been an injury-free month. I've made so much good progress. So I am over the moon, guys. I am stoked, honestly. You can probably tell I can't keep the smile off my face today, and that's going to continue throughout the video, so get ready for that. And the last one, a nice little boost as well. The Garmin API application has been successful, which is super cool. I've been talking to the Garmin reps a little bit of how to actually now hook it up to Data Insights as an application. And so we should see some really cool results of that next month as I actually dive into the details of what that's going to look like. So wins across the board. Really happy with what's happened. And now that we've gone sort of at the high level, I actually want to look at the data, show you guys exactly what's happened. So let's dive in. So this is what I wanted to show you guys first. It's a little bit of an adapted version of the report that we saw last time. Before I did have a big table here showing all my different injuries, but because we've got just a whole lot of green this month, I didn't think it was as applicable, and I wanted to use the space to show you guys the big picture of how my training has gone throughout the month and the year. And so straight away, you can see that there's a whole lot of green. You can see that my running confidence has sort of just bubbled up nice and high, and it is now sitting at a 10, which honestly makes me so incredibly happy. And so looking back at the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks, you can see this is the part of the year where I was sort of really dedicating to managing my injury. So I had a problem with my left adductor, and I thought I could have probably gone back to running a little bit earlier, but I said I've got to do this right this time before I get together with a coach. I'm actually going to manage the injury. I'm going to do a lot of strength work to make sure that it's not going to be another one of those niggling ones that I talked about last week that just gets me through the cycle of going back too early and re-injuring myself. And that's worked. That's worked really well, and it's got my confidence very high this month. And so you can sort of see I started off very slowly. I think my first run was maybe 1 kilometer or 1.5 kilometers. I was really trying to manage it closely, really trying to listen to my body as I am going for those runs to make sure that when I am stepping it up, my body is actually ready to do that. And so you can see I had some gaps. I was trying to sort of run once every 2 days throughout that time and slowly ramp it up. And then here, where you can see a bit more of a cluster of closer together runs, that's when I actually started getting proper training sessions set by Shona, my coach. It all links in through an app called Training Peaks, which then syncs to my Garmin watch. That really tells me what heart rate zone should I be in at any given time. It times the actual training session, so you know exactly what you're doing at all times. And that was the first week where it was a really intensive training block. And that's really where my confidence gained. It was sort of the moment where I went from just running, just sort of trying to get back into it, to no, this is now training. And I remember one very specific night, I was actually doing intervals at a soccer field near my house where some people train. It's lit up at night, so it's a really easy one to sort of do flat, easy grass running, and which is obviously less intense on my joints as well. So that's always nice when I'm coming back from injury. There was a night where I was doing intervals and I was meant to run for maybe an hour and a half overall. And I got there late. The lights ended up going off at the field and I still had some more running to do. My headphones had no battery, so I had no music. I was just kind of running along in a lot of pain because intervals are really, really tough. They're my most dreaded training session of the week. And it was kind of this moment where it went from being super, super fun running to this is training. Like it was painful, it was uncomfortable, and I actually loved that so much because it just made me feel like I am now getting to the part that I wanted to get to, where it's hard, where it's not easy to push through, but I pushed through it. It was actually fantastic, and so I got through that run, and you can see it's sort of ramped up since. The original plan for May was that I was going to do my first half marathon of the year, actually today at the Gladiator Run. But if we actually look at the graph, I've done 2 half marathons already. So I ran one yesterday and then I ran one last week, kind of accidentally. I got completely lost in Toohey Forest. I meant to do an 80-minute run, and by the end of that 80 minutes, I actually ended up on the complete opposite side of the forest. But I was feeling really good, feeling really, really confident. So I said, why not? Let's push it. I feel like it's the right time to put the foot on the pedal. And it was, and it gave me more confidence than I had before. So absolutely stoked about that. May's gone even better than my most optimistic goal. So I'm super, super chuffed. And I did want to show you guys, I have done a little bit of a change up of the way that I've been exercising. So if we move to my exercise page, this basically just plots all the different exercises that I've done throughout the year by time and by type of exercise. And so if we slice down by particular exercise, the number one thing, if I can find my mouse, there we go. One of the big ones for me has been stretching, if I can find it. There we go. So I've always been very, very intentional about the fact that I know I need to stretch this year, but I've actually changed up the way that I stretch after starting these training sessions with Shona, because before I was doing a lot of static stretching before and then after the run, and now I've moved to a completely dynamic warm-up, which has actually made a big difference for me. So you can see there's actually been very, very consistent stretching at the start of the year, and on a lot of the days it's a lot lower now, and that's because I've essentially halved the time that I've been doing static stretching from before and after the run to just after. You also see big spikes as well, and that was really when I was sort of trying to regain my strength, and even now I do sort of longer stretching sessions where I'm being a lot more intentional about it, actually doing proper courses as well to try and make sure that I'm targeting the right areas. So that's been fantastic. And then the other one is weights. So I was pretty intensive about going to the gym. It's a really, really good routine for me in the morning. I like to run in the afternoons and I like to gym before work. Nice, sort of wakes me up. I really do enjoy it. But what I was doing, and especially when I couldn't run, is I was gymming almost every single day. And that's recently dropped off, and that's mostly from an intuitive sort of decision to put most of my energy into recovering from running. I don't know what the science is behind it, but I thought if I'm doing a really intense gym session in the morning and then I'm running in the afternoon and I want to repeat that cycle the next day, maybe it's a lot easier if I just let all my energy go to recovering my legs and then the rest of my body that I need for running. Especially because I don't really need to be doing weights that intensively. And if anything, if I'm putting on muscle, it's just extra weight that I need to carry over the course of 100K. And obviously 500 grams or a kilo could make a massive difference over that distance. So that's stepped down quite a lot. And I felt like those two, the change in stretching and the decrease in weights, has actually made a big difference for me. And so the last impact that I wanted to show you guys on my running, and this is one that's actually been a little bit frustrating, is if we look at my pace, 3 cool new buttons in this report. So if you do press on it, I would have hoped, would have very much hoped that a graph would have come up. Hey, there we go. Cool. So what this graph shows is my pace per kilometer throughout these runs. So there's a scale going from green being the quickest to red being the slowest, and it's basically meant to show you the distribution of how I ran throughout each of these. This is absolutely just warped by an outlier. You can see this red one here, pretty much everything else is green. That was a stairs session, and when you're running stairs, you're running very, very slowly according to a GPS, even though you're putting in a lot of effort. So that's why I put in this little slicer here. So if we just type in 8 there, it's going to adjust the graph, I would hope. There we go. And that just basically takes out that outlier, so the scale doesn't just completely get warped by the one that's so far out of everything else. And this is what's frustrated me, is I've actually started running a lot slower throughout this month. And there's a couple factors leading up to that. Number one, my fitness is lower. But number two, I've actually changed my running form entirely, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a little bit more detail in a second. But the real result is you can see there's a fair bit of red on this side of the year, and there's a lot more green at the start of the year. I was running a lot faster per kilometer at that time, and that I know that that's a good thing. I'm going for distance, I'm going for longevity, so that's not a problem for me at all. I want to be running slower. But there's no denying for me that when I see every lap on my watch come up and it's 5 minutes 48 compared to 4 minutes 40, it hurts. And there's a little bit of a psychological battle happening there every time to just make sure that you're restraining yourself. But especially because it's not just the fitness piece, changing form has made a significant impact, and I feel like I'm putting in a similar amount of effort, I would say, maybe when I run 5:45 kilometers now to when I was running 5-minute kilometers under my old form. It's taking a while to adapt, but it does make it difficult when you're seeing that constantly come up on your watch. So I am trying to ignore that a little bit. So that's the pace. And then the last one I wanted to show you guys is the heart rate. So I've been trying to do my runs, and again, similar graph. Hope shouldn't be too difficult to understand this. But the average heart rate that I've been sort of working at has been significantly lower. Apart from this sort of block here, you can see that there's a lot of green in the last 2 weeks. And that's again because I'm trying to take it at a slower pace. I'm trying to make sure that there's actually longevity in my running, and I'm sort of consistently being able to perform at a level, even if that level is slightly slower than I might actually want. But that's the data from this month. I'm really, really stoked, as you guys can tell, for how May has gone. I did want to dive into a little bit more detail about what exactly has happened and what has caused this spike in running. So let's have a look at that, guys. So this is the question that I got this month from my physio. After having such a good month, the question that he asked me is, what has changed? What's actually led to this month being such a good month? And I thought about it, and it's actually a combination of factors. I don't think that there's actually one panacea solution, one magic button that's made May such a good month, but actually a combination of things. So I wanted to go through them really quickly. The first one is injury management. And I showed you guys before, I was very specific at the end of April to give myself enough rest time to actually do some strength training and to properly attack the injury. And that's really, really paid off because I could hit the ground running in May, and that's exactly what's happened. And I followed through strong, and now I'm 100% confident in running. So that's made a huge difference. Second one is my confidence, and this has really come from getting a coach on board. It honestly has made an incredible difference in my running. Just having someone there to bounce everything off, having someone there, honestly, like instilling confidence in you as a runner has made a massive, massive difference. And I think it's something for me that I really, really do depend on my confidence in everything that I'm doing. And so being able to run, being able to be in a good sort of mental spot has really, really helped me. Number 3 is my running form. So I mentioned this before that I've gotten a little bit slower because my running form's changed, and that's actually something that I've been working on with Shona. I've gone from heel striking when I run to toe to midfoot strike. And that's been a really, really weird change actually. So the idea is that you're taking the impact off the top of your legs, especially where I was getting my injuries sort of through the hamstrings, adductor. Knees are also impacted pretty heavily when you heel strike. And when you start toe striking, it's all sort of on the lower part of the legs that gets impacted really heavily. So your ankles and your calves, and it's just a completely different style of running. And so when you imagine yourself running, you have learned that way of running for your entire life. So when you all of a sudden make a shift, it feels really weird. Like really, really weird. It feels like you're trying to learn running again, and it's just awkward, honestly. For the first couple of weeks, maybe even up to 3 weeks, it just felt like a very forced type of running. But knowing that it could sort of benefit me with injury in the long term and longevity of my running, I pushed through and it's been really, really good. I felt very confident. I'm now feeling really, really natural in that form of running. And so very, very happy with how that's gone. So that's point 3. Fourth one is having a proper training schedule. That's made a big difference as well, is having someone who knows what they're talking about set my training schedule. It's sort of one less thing that I have to think about, and it's something that I can structure my week around and know that I'm getting the best result without having to put much thought into it, which has just been fantastic. Number 5 is changing the warm-up routine. And this is the last one. Like I said, it was just doing static stretching before my warm-ups. And now I'm actually being very dynamic about it. So there's just a routine of drills that I basically go 10 meters back and forth doing different things. And then the first part of my run is very, very slow. So another thing that Shona mentioned to me, that it takes around 10 minutes for the synovial fluid, I believe it was, to basically grease up your joints, is the way that she described it, just to make sure that you're not actually impacting your body in a negative way. And so having a proper warm-up has made a massive difference. 5 points, they've all contributed to me having a great month. I think going forward, having these in hand is going to be awesome. I'm super excited about where June's going to go. So lastly, I did just want to take you guys through what's coming up next month. And I think really for me, it's just going to be a month where I build on the base that I've built this month and increase my training and go those further distances. And sort of as we go through it, I'm actually going to start at point 2. Probably should have ordered them a different way. But the second one is nutrition planning and experimenting. So I'm actually getting to the distances now where I have to fuel on the run, something that I've never done. I've never done gels. I've never done any other bits and pieces while I run apart from water. But it's something I'm going to have to nail over the course of 100K. So it's really time to start playing around with that. So I'm excited to see where that goes. I think I'm just going to start with gels. Some people say that it upsets their stomach a little bit, but I'd like to give it a go. I think that they seem super easy. I don't like eating a lot of solid food when I exercise. It takes me a while to eat proper food after I exercise or even after I wake up. So I think gels are going to be a good option for me. And then the second one is some expanded reporting again from Garmin. So now that I've got the link, I just need to put in the legwork to actually hook everything up, and there should be some cool results to show next month. I'm hoping to get back out on the trail, get some good footage throughout this month. I've been doing a lot of cool forest runs through Toohey Forest and Mount Cootha and a few other bits and pieces. So I think I'm going to pick a cool location, get some cool footage, and get that up for you guys next month, because it honestly... I think for me, I said it in February or March, maybe I was really falling in love with trail running, and I really, really was. And then hitting those injuries it just sours your taste a little bit, and it just changes the way you look at running. And this month, around the middle of it, when I started increasing the distance, I started getting that exact same feeling of, it's almost like this euphoria. And I know I've talked about the runner's high before, and that's exactly what it is. And I sometimes just feel it really distinctly, maybe 9 or 10 kilometers into a run. I love it when you're sort of just jumping down a hill, or you're sort of going through. It's a little bit rocky, it's a little bit unstable, and you're kind of just in this flow state where you're running, and it's just meditative basically. And so I have loved this month. Very excited about June. Stay with me, guys. The journey continues, and I'm really hoping that it's just going to get better and better from here. So a lot of smiles this month, a lot of smiles next month. And yeah, let's keep this going. See you guys next month.